let us let's dive right in. No stalling, let's go. Wait, we're gonna start with a card game? We get to play? Are we gambling?
Night has fallen and you're weary from travel. Stars fill the sky above, and in front of you is a brightly lit wooden house, the only building you've seen for days.
And in that house...
You walk toward the house, hearing the sounds of laughter and talk as you reach the door and push it open.
Push it.
You sit down and join the game. It's a cheap buy-in, and not many of the other players are very good.
Oh, that's the best type of game to get into, right? Where the other players are not very good.
The lady fiddling with dice gets good cards, but has no real strategy. The man to your right seems to just hold on to the highest cards he has, regardless of suit or any consideration of matches. The man in gray across from you, though, he's good. He already had the largest pile of coins when you bought in, and while your winnings grow quickly, you can't quite catch him. One by one, the other players leave the table, sometimes with pique or with wry humor, leaving their winnings with you or the man in gray.
The man in grey. He's got ears. Ooh.
Finally, it's just you and the man in gray. He looks at you, full of humor, and winks. Last hand?
Hello, Thunder.
He deals, you draw, and look at your hand. It's good. It's great. The best hand, in fact. A royal straight flush. Spades. Aces high. But the man in gray pushes forward his whole pile. You're not sure exactly how much it is, but it's more than you've got. You can't match that. The man in gray stops you. Now, if you like, I'll let you wager your word. I know you'll be good for it. Just promise you'll pay the debt, however I ask.
We got a choice. Hang on. One sec. Let me just tick this button here. Shit, where is it? Tick that button there and that button there. We got a choice. Hang on. Off. On. I check the cards again.
Yep. 10, Jack, Queen, King, Ace. All spades.
We got no choice, right?
The man in gray smiles. All right, then. I'll call.
What? He had tarot cards, what?
Well, your luck wasn't so good, was it? That's quite the hand, but not for the game we're playing. I'm afraid you owe me. Your life, sure, but more than that, your labor. You see, this land is built on stories. It's one big story, this country. woven of many small ones. Few of the small ones are strictly true, and the big story is mostly a lie.
It's a bit loud. We haven't seen no options yet. As soon as we get options, I'm going to turn it down a little bit.
All the stories and songs and myths and legends start somewhere, with a seed. As they're told and retold and passed around, they grow and change to become the stories we know. To pay your debt to me, you'll be carrying stories, finding the seeds first and then spreading them, telling them onwards so they can begin gaining strength. This is no light task. Stories are heavy. Most of the stories you'll find will be small seeds. They might be true, but they'll grow wild and unbelievable with the telling. The more important stories are the true ones, the ones people will tell you about their own lives. Those often get lost in the weaves of the big story. The more true stories you can find and tell, the more you can weave that truth into the big story. Tarnish it a bit perhaps, but isn't a dingy and battered truth better than a shining lie? Now, go ahead. You tell me a story. I'll trade you some information about your task.
Alright. I guess these are the cards we got, right? The cards he gave us. We got travel, choice, morality, heaven, desires, fulfilled wishes to coming true, fortune, fate, luck, and death, change, endings, move on. Hello, Minigoose. Good enough. Told a story of tossing a pair of bone dice on a blood red velvet table. They come up with snake eyes and wicked. Or the story of a black and grey city where every building is filled with desiccated corpses. Okay. Tell the story of the parting of a cloud, of fog to reveal a brief glimpse of a land of promise and plenty. An endless series of doors of different kinds, each leading to only to more doors. That sounds a bit like that game we played yesterday. I told the story of a northbound train, blinking its giant eyes. It crawls through the night. We'll do that one. Let's do that one. Trains, man.
Travel? That's your job. Wander from place to place, gather those stories and spread them.
Ad? You got an ad?
People get bored hearing the same stories over and over. But an old cliché in one state might be a rip-roaring new yarn in another.
Alright, okay. I guess we got another one. Let's have that one. Revealed a brief glimpse of a land of promise and plenty.
Your deepest desires? Your greatest wish? Heaven? Big Rock Candy Mountain?
Ooh.
El Dorado, the
That sounds
promised land, that place just over the ridge where they all say that the water tastes just like the sweetest wine. Well, I don't know where that is. It's supposed to be somewhere in this country. Ask the people you meet. They're all searching for the same thing.
I'm guessing if you look at I'm guessing that the cards we got are ones that maybe they're randomly given to you when you start, maybe. And these are the seeds we're going to be picking to build our story on, maybe. Oh, winking snake eyes. Let's do that.
It's just luck. Funny how bad luck seems to follow the folks who already have problems aplenty. Well, try your luck out there in this country. See how the dice treat you. It's not all bad. You'll have to work hard, but I'll give you the gift for seeing the true shapes of people. Not many who can do that. I'll strip away your flesh to make the journey easier, but
Oh.
still you'll feel pain.
Wait, what? You're stripping away our flesh.
Hunger, weariness, thirst, and despair. They're all part of stories, the part not often told. And death, yes, but don't worry. As long as your task remains, you come back.
Okay.
You sometimes have to make choices about what kind of story you're finding. Is it a love story or a tragedy? Don't gather too many of one kind, though. This grand story needs variety. Go on your way, Seeker. Maybe we'll meet again, or maybe not. Either way, it'll be an experience for you. I'm jealous in some ways. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Alright. Okay, options. Let's tone that down a little bit. So, we met this dude. We lost this game. He kind of took our life away, and he sent us on a journey to learn or to build a big story, right? I think as we said, we're going to be traveling around the US, collecting little stories and planting seeds to build up a big story, right? So, WSAD, Q to hitchhike, whistle, okay, map, inventory. Does that look like a... Is that a choo-choo train? And what was the button to actually interact with? Space, okay.
This bungalow is being ransacked. There's furniture piled in the front yard, ammunition heaped under the mailbox, and a crowd of clean-cut men ripping apart a car in the driveway. The two heavily armed, mud-caked women leaning over the porch railing share the same bored grin. One shouts at you. "Lend a couple innocent gals a cigarette?"
Sure.
You are about to hand her a smoke when those men draw pistols and shove you hard into the dirt. "You know these girls?" they demand. Once they've dumped your bag out into the road, they decide you're harmless. "If you were selling booze too, you'd have a lot more cash," sneers one. On the porch behind him, the two bootleggers are fingering their empty rifles, grinning in disappointment.
My vagrant soul.
Ah, we got a new story. Oh, that's the map. So we're starting in Maine. Okay, we're starting in Maine. Inventory, what do we got? We got a dice. Is there anything we're carrying as a pair of dice, which is the dice we got from the game? We got one. We've gathered one story so far. Which is this one. Okay. Right, so look at the icons we've got. There's a we got a city down here, or is that Massachusetts? Vineyard character story. Alright, okay. So that's the US Canada border, right? There's another house over there. And what's the cue to hitchhike? Control the whistle. We can whistle while you walk.
Off the road and into the woods, you can't help but come across this package by the old tree tied to a sturdy stick. The cloth wrapping conceals, though not particularly well, something large and softly unsettled. Little eyes blink back at you from inside the bundle. The shape gives a start.
Please don't tell my pa that I'm in here.
It says in a small voice.
Pa doesn't want to live with us anymore, but I want to go with him. Don't tell him, please. I'm hiding.
You tell the boy you'll keep his secret. You don't see his father anywhere. You don't see another soul for miles.
Okay, so a new story. A lighthouse. A city here, Portland.
They don't come every year, you know. The old man is sitting at the edge of a rotting old pier, crooked legs dangling over the water. He watches a pair of seagulls preen and groom each other on a rock just off the shore.
Let's watch them.
They seem to wait for something together, fidgeting and rubbing against one another. And when they fly off, they fly together. These two, these same two, have been coming here ever since I was a boy, the old man says. He watches them fly away until their bodies are dots vanishing into the low sun. Always the same pair. Wonder what keeps them coming back to this town. He shrugs. It must be home.
How does he know it's the same two? Right?
The woman walks the small town square with the poise of Betty Davis, the confident stride and inimitable mannerisms elevating the sidewalk into a plush Hollywood carpet. And wrapped around her neck, a yellow velvet ribbon, bright as an ocean sunrise. You question a well-dressed man parked outside an oyster house. Prudish woman. I took her on a fine date and she didn't remove so much as a ribbon. Excuse me, can you step back from the coupe? That's the spirit. You decide to seek a second opinion. You talk with a waitress smoking outside a diner. Something funny about her. Just showed up one day. Doesn't work, doesn't live anywhere as far as I know. Just around. Myself, I'd love to know who made all her beautiful clothes. A longshoreman watches stevedores load up a crane. Yellow ribbon? That woman's dead. Ghost dead. Buddies of mine, they've seen her all over the Atlantic for decades now.
Oh, it's a ghost. Ooh. Spooky. So we're getting a bunch of different seeds for our story, right? Which is what you're doing in this first area.
You can see storm clouds on the horizon and you don't relish the thought of being caught wandering this rocky seaside road in the rain. Fortunately, you find the lighthouse door open, with a daunting staircase before you.
Climb.
At the top of an ornate wrought iron spiral, you're breathless and feeling the strain on your knees. Rain already batters the walls outside. You can only knock on a heavy wooden door leading into the upper level. Muffled voices and light seep in beneath the door. "Looks like we got a visitor." Sounds like a man's voice, deep and rough.
Well, behave yourself. I'll open the door.
Another man, this one with a higher, more sonorous voice. "I always behave myself." He feigns indignation, but his tone betrays affection instead.
Let's wait.
After a moment, the door unlatches from the inside and opens. The man before you is tall and muscular, with a hint of a paunch beneath his wide chest. The heavy iron knob on the door looks nearly dainty in his huge hand.
Didn't want to be out in this rain, did you? Come in.
Sure, let's step inside with this strange man.
Despite the rough exterior, this room looks like a well-appointed parlor. There's a rug on the well-trod wooden floor and an enormously plush couch. And sat upon it is a stocky fellow grinning through a great hazel-colored beard. "Tea?" he offers, hoisting a teapot.
A few years.
The tall one sits on the sofa, wrapping his arm casually around the other lighthouse keeper. "5, says the smaller, but by no means small, man.
That long? Time flies. We traveled together before that. You must have some good stories from the road, huh?
Oh, we get to tell him a story now. Yes, I have some.
You wake up the next morning on their old sofa, still warm from an excess of tea. And cakes?
Cakes.
There might have been little cakes. Prodigious snoring rumbles in from the floor above you, and you quietly take your leave.
Now, did he get some cakes for the road? Because you would, wouldn't you? I wonder if we can hitchhike. Hang on. Come on. Hitchhike. Yeah! Where we going? We're going all the way to Boston? Let's look at the... We'll get outside first, and then we'll go take a look inside. More stories.
A dusty truck and a man on horseback pull up next to one another in front of the grocer. Suddenly, the driver and the rider, two wiry old men with identical haircuts, start shrieking at one another.
What's going on?
The man with the truck leaps into the street.
Brother!
He shouts. The one on the horse tumbles out of his saddle.
Brother!
He screams. They embrace in the road.
30 years!
Hollers the driver. The rider, tears streaming down over his face, corrects him.
No! 32!
Wow.
Everyone here is watching these two older men cry and hug one another in the middle of Main Street. Cars and wagons are backing up. People are yelling.
Take a photo of us!
The driver begs you. Starts hauling a tripod out of the bed of his truck.
Alright. Is that
The
Jesus?
long-lost brothers pose in front of traffic, cry snot pouring out of their noses. As angry passerby wave you out of the road, each brother presses a coin into your hand. When the traffic disperses, you realize they overpaid you quite a shocking amount.
Oh, money! We got money? Where's the coins? Damn it! We ain't got coins. Alright, so we got 6 stories we're starting now. Let's go look at this house over here, and we'll go into the city and check it out.
A few wanderers like you are looking for a place to camp.
We heard there's a Leatherman cave nearby.
They tell you. They describe a locally famous vagrant who hiked this area for almost 30 years.
He's dead now, but his caves are the best place to camp at any town.
Where is it then? Hello, Dark Roger.
You and the other wanderers find the cave easily, because someone's lit a fire there. As you approach, you see a silhouette bend over the flames with an odd creaking sound, like a door swinging in the wind.
Who's there?
His coat is crudely stitched from leather plates that squeak against each other.
The Leatherman.
One of the others whispers.
A ghost.
The Leatherman must have heard, but he just stares. His face is corpse still.
Well, technically, we're dead as well, so we will go. Of course, he can't be, isn't a ghost.
He's eating, you say, and point out his can of beans.
Je ne suis pas un fantôme.
The Leatherman says, and adds,
Idiot. Oh,
bursts your companion.
Canadien.
Soon, he and the Leatherman are deep in conversation, and your group has a safe place to rest.
Okay. Alright, let's check out the city. Let's get inside Boston. Alright, so we do have some money, right? Let's check the store first. Hot cider, clam chowder, fried chicken, scrambled eggs. We obviously don't have money then, right? I thought we did have money.
This city is like no other you've been to. Crooked streets splay out in a maze of narrow passages, no two alike. Soon, you find yourself in twilight, utterly lost. Bright light crests around one corner, a car approaching.
Let's keep walking.
Unable to afford rescue, you keep walking.
Because we got no money.
The asphalt turns to crooked cobblestones that threaten to wrench your ankle out of place. Was this always a moonless night? The stars multiply, each one looking like a pinprick through which light is exiting the terrestrial world. It's hard finding your way through in pitch darkness. You go by touch and sound, feeling the scale of the streets by the echoing of your footsteps, fingers tracing the rough surface of the buildings. And then, a rumble of noise in the distance.
Rumble of noise. It might be Godzilla.
You quiet yourself, suddenly fearful. The clear sky tells you it's not thunder, but cannon fire. The city comes alive with fires and shouting. You find yourself trampled by a mob of men in thick brown coats, a phalanx of bayonets advancing up the street.
Well, that don't look good, does it?
When you come to, there's no sign of the commotion, the war that you were just caught in. The comically shrill honk of a Model A running up the road startles you, and you crawl toward the sidewalk. Above, The sky is a sharp, cold, cloudless blue.
We could do that on some money. You wander the streets, obviously looking for a way to make some cash. We can panhandle, we can look for work. Let's try to look for work first, right? We're trying to make an honest living. It starts to rain, and the kind of torrential rain trees tripping way that only happens twice a year. Everyone scrambles for cover, but one guy stays in the street, full of a bale of bent and lopsided umbrellas, 10 cents each, he hollers. What an opportunist. The rain has soaked him through, but he's doing a roaring trade. Hell, he tells you, go run around on the main shopping streets and pick up all the umbrellas you see. People often drop them when they blow inside out, and I'll pay. Okay, that seems like a good idea. We'll do it. He's right, there are umbrellas scattered all up and down the street like fallen birds. You gather them up in an armful, and the umbrella seller buys them all for a couple of coins. The next morning, though, your throat is hoarse, your nose is running like a faucet. Well, yeah, we got sick, right? Can we, what should we have? What should we get? Hang on. I don't even know I'm tempted for cider, man. I'm tempted to try to get some cider, but then again, fried chicken sounds good. Although it's morning, so maybe scrambled eggs for the morning, right? Scrambled eggs for the morning. Obviously, the cider's got like a Z's next to it, so I guess that's like something you have to help you sleep. Scrambled eggs. Hey, my breads. Yeah, I'm gonna scrambled eggs. So when we did that, our money symbol went down to half. Fluffy golden mounds, perfect. Possibly, check the state. Oh, we haven't got enough money to take a train, so. There's a camp.
Hey there, stranger. You're welcome to enjoy this fire with me, if you're respectful, that is. This here is my spot, and I ain't inclined to share it with any bad characters. You can call me Quinn. These here are my venturing companions. Cass is the big un, and the one with the spots is Flip. I usually beat my way on the rails, but the road news said this town was fat, and the weather was fine. So I'm taking in the sights and seeing what I can drum up. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
Oh, we're here to tell a story. So, obviously, these are the different parts of the story that we built, right? So, here are the stories you collect so far. They're organized by subject because the boss likes the tarot cards, right? This is the subjects. This is the subject of each story here. If you tell this person the story about love, for example, this will tell you something about from their own life relating to the subject of love. As the night goes on, the icon will move from left to right. When it reaches the right side, the night is over, and so is your storytelling. The person you're talking to will usually tell you where they'll be next, so you can find them again. Okay. If you tell them the types of stories they request, you gain their trust, and the eye will open. When it opens fully, the next time you meet them, they'll open up more about their life. They'll remember this from conversation to conversation, so don't feel like you need to open the eye all the way the first time. Okay. They want a thrilling story. Okay, so we got, what do we got? We got a story of an elegant woman in a small town near Portland. This is the one about a ghost, right? That's not really thrilling, is it? Right? We got a story. Was that the cave to love a man? Yeah, they thought it's a story they thought about was a ghost, but it wasn't. It was just a Canadian, right? So thrilling is what they want. So we've got one about travel, one about faith and trust, one about family, one about authority and past memories. So we haven't got those two are not about. They're not thrilling. But we got here. We got story of seagulls, a fisherman near Portland. That's not really thrilling either. I mean, if you heard a story about seagulls, would you be thrilled? A story of two brothers who reconnect after 30 years. Told a story of the boy who ran away with his father in Maine. This is the past memories. We got the two lighthouse keepers. Told a story of the strange climber on the streets of Boston. Oh, we got authority. Told a story of the woman arrested for bootlegging in Maine. I don't see none of those being thrilling. You say Leatherman. Do you think that's thrilling? I suppose. I mean, it did say at the beginning that when you, as the stories kind of you get these like sparks of stories by speaking to people. And when you kind of tell them, they kind of as with any storytellers, as it gets repeated, it gets kind of twisted a little bit. So even though when we heard it, when we was there, they mentioned it. It wasn't really much of a story. They thought this guy was a ghost in a cave, but it was a Canadian. So maybe they'll twist it a little bit. We'll do that one in a moment. We'll do it. Let's do it. Let's see what he says. He told a story of the Leatherman's cave.
That was a chuckle to be sure. But do you know anything more lively?
More lively.
Trust. Well, I figure tramps are apt to trust each other, to a point. Sure, there are backbiters out there, but it's the folks who act respectable, the so-called upstanding ones that I keep an eye on. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
So she got a chuckle out of it, but it wasn't really thrilling. I haven't really got thrilling stories, honestly. We haven't got anything thrilling. Not yet. Not what I would call thrilling, anyway. You say try to ghost one. I suppose maybe. Let's do it.
Well, that sure was a downer. Give me a good venture tale instead any day.
She wants adventure and thrills. We haven't got
Traveling.
any such stories
I
yet.
sure do love it. And I seen some pretty things out there. I seen serpent trains passing on a green and gold sea. I seen mountains so tall and forests so thick, nobody will ever tame 'em. I once seen a bunch of townies skinny dipping in a river. That sure was something. I seen terrible things too. Biblical floods and starving folks. And black blizzards full of dust. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
Right, yeah, as you tell them, the subjects you choose are what they tell you about. So she told us a bit about travelling after telling her that story. So what do we want? We've got this one's about family. We've got authority, or we've got memory, past. And what do we want to hear from her? What do we want to hear from her? Something about a family, maybe? Good.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that? Jeez.
We got nothing that's exciting, man. The seagull one is not exciting either. That's not thrilling. It's about two seagulls that have kind of been partners for a long time.
Family.
That's kind of dull. They're all dull so far. Until you start, once you start twisting them a little bit, I'm sure there'll be a bit more excitement in them, right?
There ain't no way I'm gonna start jaw flapping about those bastards. Judases, the lot of 'em. Enough said. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
So scary stuff. Well, we haven't got scary. We got these two subjects left. So she wants scary stuff. We got two brothers in a lighthouse. Told a story of a strange climber on the streets of Boston. That's obviously when we had the people that were charged with. That might be okay. I mean, the people that kind of rushed us when we got caught underfoot. Well, you can't do it. I mean, this one here, you got a woman arrested for. You can't repeat them, so there's only one per subject, Marlborough. So the only ones we got left are these two subjects. You can't go back to the subject ones. So I'm gonna go with this one here.
You spin a good yarn. I was shivering there for a little bit.
Oh, look, your eyes open a little bit. We got one as you wanted.
Well, I don't know a whole lot about the past, but They say there's an Injun grave round these parts. Say it's haunted and full up with angry spirits. I used to love hearing stories of cowboys and Injuns fighting it up. Would swap tales with the youngins. But, well, I suppose if someone shot me, I'd be pretty vengeful too. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
So at this point, there's only one story I can tell. So we can either just quit as it is, or we can tell the story about the bootleggers. That's all we got. So we got to tell her that, right? That's all. We got no other choice.
Whoa, quite a story, stranger.
Look at that eyeball. Nice.
Authority, bosses and such. I ain't nobody's little Angelina, if that's what you're asking. I take care of myself and my dogs. I don't need no jocker looking out for me, so if you're offering, don't. Shoot, I thought I told you to be respectful. You want to keep enjoying my spot or not? Think about that.
Think about that.
Oh, heck, the night's over already. I sure enjoyed talking to you, but I gotta get on. I think I'll see what's happening up the road this way.
Alright, so she's obviously gonna come down here, I guess, next, right? So if we want to see her again and continue our stories with her, we'll be going down. We're gonna head down, keep to the east coast and just head south. Gonna go through Connecticut, go through New Jersey. Right. Come on, continue as if I can. Oh, close down.
The tramping life suits me just fine. Every day is a venture. With things being so depressed, folks walk around like it's the end of everything good. But it ain't. Plenty nice things to see if you know where to look.
Quinn Chapter 2 available. Okay, so just step over into Connecticut. We can kind of pick up some stories on the way. Maybe there's something more exciting on the way to tell her next time. You're from Pennsylvania? Oh. As you walk down the road, a black crow flutters down to land in your path. It looks at you, cocks its head and speaks. Well, you've got a long, long road ahead, don't you? All of these people to chase down. Well, so I hear. Got some experience when it comes to chasing folks. If you want, you can go find your friend again, ask them more about their life. They might want better stories next time, though. It appears up to you. Didn't they tell you where they were headed? Yes, they did. But hey, the world is full of people. But you could find another friend like that if you went looking around. There's more than one interesting person in the land. For sure, it gives a gravelly laugh. That's what the humans say anyway, and with that, it launches in the air and disappears. Looking for the whistle, if you match up the notes, you walk faster. Bye. Like a rhythm game, man. We're gonna head to New York.
Muddling through the dark, you stumble into the path of the white deer. Its beauty strikes you at once. It is something otherworldly, beyond borders. A moon swimming in the void. Human shouts not far away break the spell. The deer's ears prick up. This thing is being hunted.
I don't know. Do we help? Fuck it, let's help it. Let's do it.
You know a way out of here. As the hunter's cries get louder, you approach the deer carefully, palms outstretched. As you grow close, your features become clearer in the light of the deer's aura. It bolts into the path of an oncoming train.
We tried to help, right? It didn't quite work. It didn't quite work, but we give it a go. So these two fit stories are over here first. Then we'll go and check out New York. Jet Black Horror lights at low branch of a twisted tree. Looks at you at cause. You got some good stories already? It seems to wink at you. Want to hear my tricks? Sure. It's obviously gonna be. It's a little helper, right? The ones you got now, pathetic stuff. You tell those stories around, and they'll come back more exciting, more satisfying. So always listen to the stories other folks tell. Their tales are less true, sure, but more useful around the campfire. The boss has a point about the true ones, though. They're extra interesting. You learn a couple of folks' true life stories, and everyone will like them no matter what kind of story they think they want to hear. Okay. Everyone's the captain of their destiny. It gives a burst of laughter. Ain't no bootstraps in the world that can save you now. But the choices you make, they change the kind of story you tell. It ruffles the feathers, a sort of shrug. Choose wisely or don't. Okay.
Low tide on a moonless night. This beach is long, stretching toward a receding sea. In the darkness, the sand seems coarse and gray. Alien. The stars are dim and distant. It outshines the stars with its presence, a streak of sickly colored light, leaving a trail of distorted fire. It slowly creeps along the sky like a vast worm, though you know that, given the distance, it must be moving at great speed. Its parabola heads south to north. In the far distance, just for a second, a boardwalk town is engulfed in light. With a rumble, its street lamps and windows dim, then go dark. All that you can see emanating from there is an otherworldly color that you can't quite name.
New York!
The engines belch black smoke as the ferry churns gray water into froth. A broad-shouldered figure leans out over the rail, eyeing the skyscrapers on the horizon. Nearby, a man and a woman speak in low, urgent voices. He takes her wrist gently. She is weeping softly.
Well, listen to the car. I think maybe she wants to jump.
I wish you didn't have to go.
She says.
There's got to be work on some of those buildings going up.
His thumb skates over her pulse point.
I checked every day for a week. There ain't. I'll be back, though. Got your picture in my wallet, don't I? It's not forever.
Let's keep listening.
Her words are split by a sob.
Might as well be. My parents didn't come to New York for this.
She leans against him, the wind tousling her hair. He pulls her to his chest.
I'm leaving because I gotta go. If there was another way...
They stand together, close,
Aye.
quiet, in the stiff breeze.
So with all these depressing stories we're picking up, I mean, that's what we got, right? A couple parted by unemployment. That sounds like a really riveting, thrilling story. Let's look for work again. You stand outside a department store, emphatically had no day work available when an exasperated woman carrying a small terrier rushes out of the sidewalk. Who are you? When you want watching for me, he keeps chewing the shoes, and I'll only admit. Sure. Thank you, she cries, and heads inside again. Terrio seems perfectly content in your arms until she returns and scoops him up, leaving you with a very generous tip. Nice. Nice. Oh, hot apple cider, clam chowder, fried chicken, or scrambled eggs. We're filled up there, but we can't actually. I guess we don't need to eat yet. That's why they're grey, and we can't use it yet, right? We can take a train though. I don't really want to take a train, not yet. I'm not sure. I mean, these things on here. I mean, the icons on the right. You've got the dollar at the top. Obviously, in the middle you've got the a heart, and this is probably your status, right? So the whole time, all of these two at the bottom have been solid the whole time. The top one went down to half when we bought something to eat it, or scrambled eggs at last place. This is probably your health and how tired you are. Now these bottom two haven't been anything but full yet, so we haven't had to do anything with it yet. Maybe we will eventually. I don't know. We're still heading southwest, right? We're going to head down to Rhode Island. There's a picture of a deer, or whatever that means. I guess this means it's a story. These are obviously the stories we found on the way. Gonna head over to New Jersey. Alright. We'll head down this way.
The stream is a clear, reflective shade of blue. Unusual in this region, where bog iron colors the
What
river's
is that?
brown. Across the way, a goat with great leather wings laps up the water, its sunken red eyes fixed on your every movement.
Wait, a goat with leather wings? What?
You now notice the unnatural absence of wildlife. No fish swim in the stream. No birds sing in the trees. The winged goat drinks with a forked tongue, only abstractly concerned with your presence.
Let's approach it.
Over the hill, a scorched one-room house lies abandoned, 2 of its 4 walls in ruins. The goat rears up, front hooves curled, and stretches its wings out to their full breadth.
Hello, Nikon Gamer. Jersey Devil? I don't know much about a Jersey Devil. Maybe.
The goat opens its mouth and wails, a protracted, shrill sound, indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. It only begins to stop when you take several steps back.
Well, yeah.
The winged goat doesn't follow. Instead, it lies down inside the burnt house, surrounded by portraits of a large family, glass frames stained brown from smoke.
Okay. The winged goat! It's the Black Crow again. Hey, it blows out. Hey, friend. You hear about trains? It gives a fruity crackle locomotion. Okay, so basically he's going to tell us. This guy's obviously giving us some tips as we see him. So he's going to tell us that we can get on a train, right? Ever ride a train? With your budget, you'll need to hop on a train yard, though. Fast and convenient, but the railroad balls really don't like it when you ride the empty boxcars. If you ever get caught, you'll get beaten. It hops and pecks at something on the ground. On the positive side, maybe you'll meet someone at a trade to trade stories with, but if you don't like the sound of that, you could hitchhike. Find a friendly car at last. I feel sorry for the landlubbers. Yeah, we did a little bit of hitchhiking. I always do. You'll notice that the beak doesn't move as he speaks, but before you can tell it anything, it flies off again. Hello, Seafoot. Right, we're coming up to Philly. We're coming up to Philly!
Well, I'm gonna heft my spade up upon my weary back. I'm gonna keep that stride stuck in my soul. 'Cause when my toes burn low and my trains run
Clouds roll together to fill the sky.
Let's watch the sky churn.
The lightning is so strong that it seems to open the path in the haze above you. You are sure you see massive talons curved around the clouds.
Oh.
The thunder is so immense that the ground trembles. Your lips and hands tingle from the electric charge that fills the air until the dancing lightning passes on over the hills.
Okay. So this is a camp here, obviously, where the camp you can actually meet another character there.
His clothes are expensive, but unkempt. A tailored jacket stretched and warped out of its best fit by long days on the road. His thinning frame weighs down the boxcar next to yours. You got a light, friend?
Sure, mate. I don't smoke, but I got a light. Yeah, yes. Yes, we're getting to the point. I mean, March is here. March has got starting to get a lot of games come out this month, Seafood.
You offer a match, which bends and nearly snaps as he scratches it against the pitted iron edge of the boxcar. Thanks, he mumbles, perching one last cigarette on his lip.
Where you going, mate?
Don't rightly know where I'm going. You notice how deeply wrinkled his clothes are. It's as though a huge hand plucked him from a high society party and crumpled him up like a sheet of paper. Don't rightly know how I got going either.
Are you drugged?
They built a railway just past Missy Hudson's estate. A damned racket ruined our soiree. Might have been a few bottles of Armagnac too many when I walked down the tracks to tell them to keep it quiet. He drags on the cigarette, but you never see him exhale.
Yeah, I picked it up as well, but I didn't check the beta out yet. I'm not going to worry about the beta. I'm just going to wait until it's out and just play the game. I don't see a point of playing the beta because I know I want to play it.
'Cause when that very man come for to tally up my worth, I won't leave much behind to drag it down.
After gossiping for a while about the weather and the crops and the state of the world, he takes a different tack. You look like someone who is good, who tells a good story. Who is take this one on the sides. After loudly and repeatedly clearing his throat, he tells the story of a dead woman in the yellow ribbon. It sounds like a lot like the story of the elegant woman in a small town, but with some parts changed and the other parts added. Ooh. When he grins up at you at the conclusion of the tale, you give him the effusive praise he's apparently expecting. You'll have to remember that version, even if it's not quite what happened. It's a good story. So that's one of the stories we got that's kind of tweaked a little bit.
Well, I got no companion.
On a train, on a train, yeah, we gotta go down there.
And the sea. And when
Let's set up camp. Who we got here? Oh, this is Quinn, chapter 2. Okay. We met her again.
Stranger, it's good to see you again. You know, I'm gonna see this whole world one day, but for now, I just got my sights set on seeing all 48 of the great U.S. I already seen 10 whole states. That's better than my folks ever done, that's for sure. Plenty of townies and even some tramps treat me like I'm kid simple, but I ain't helpless, and I only act it when I ain't got no better choice, like if I get pinched. I do right fine on my own. Don't need nobody but Cass and Flip. I want to hear a story about ghosts or murderers or something. Scary stuff.
Ghosts or murderers? What do we got about ghosts or murderers? Now we did tell her the ghost story first time, right? So unless it's story about winged goats. A story about a massive thunderstorm. A couple party by employment. Seagulls. Two brothers. Obviously, the ones you've already told her we can't do again for obvious reasons. Two brothers in a lighthouse. Yeah, exciting stuff. I don't have any ghost stories. A white deer that gets crushed by a train. I mean, that sounds like an awesome, scary ghost story. Not. We don't have any ghost stories. Where to go? I don't know.
Wow, that's the stuff, stranger. Spooky campfire tales are my favorite. Sadness. Ain't seen no sight sadder than in the city. In the city, they want you to feel like a giant among giants, like you can do anything. But I seen them shanty camps full up with folks who got nothing to eat or do.
I mean, it could be, I suppose. Nikon, yes.
Cities serve to make the small feel smaller. I want to hear one of them venturing tales. Got any?
Venturing tales? What? So yeah, I said he probably is a ghost, but he wants to hear about an adventuring tale now. So let's what do we got? Adventuring. It's not really a thunderstorm. It's not really adventuring, but maybe.
Whoa, quite a story, stranger.
Okay, do you like that one?
This country. I don't rightly know what this thing called America is. I know what I done been told in school, but the words don't fit the picture. What with tramping across the whole thing, figure I'll find out for myself soon enough. Hey, do you got any really thrilling stories to tell? I'm hankering for one of those.
Thrilling. Let's do the one with the ghosts. Let's do it.
That was a chuckle to be sure. But do you know anything more lively?
Lively?
Being trapped, caged. You think beggardom is a prison? No, stranger. Beggardom is freedom. Responsibility is the real trap, wound tight like an old spring. Pride and pretending'll bleed folk dry, and then when there ain't nothing left to be proud of, when they can't pretend no more, they'll unwind. Hey, tell me one of those exciting stories.
Exciting stories. Yeah, we got an exciting story about a bird. Excitement. She wants excitement. I mean, a deer getting crushed by a train. That's really exciting. Yeah. That's well exciting.
Ain't life got enough tearjerkers in it without telling stories like that?
Jeez.
Freedom? Well, that's what them trains have come to mean to me. Freedom. Crossing a country wider than imagination. Hey, tell me a funny story. You seem like you still got a sense of humor.
Funny story. Funny? I mean, that's definitely not funny. We haven't got any funny stories. We got tearjerkers, man. Do the seagulls. Do the seagull story.
I don't get too much out of tales that are so cheerful. Not enough excitement for me.
We haven't got exciting stories, man.
There you go, talking about family. Like I said, don't need nobody but my dogs. Flip's still a little green. Found him starving and angry by the roadside a few months back. He gets riled now and again, but he don't do nothing too bad if you just wait and let him get it out of his system. He's good to have around most times, and Cass sure seems to enjoy the company. Well, sun's coming up, so I've got to get ready to go. Thanks for the tales, friend. Where you heading next? Decided yet? Maybe our paths will cross. I'm going up the road this way myself.
Well, she's going back up to Rhode Island.
Hope I'll see something fun. I generally do, you know. There's interesting things to see everywhere if you keep your eyes open.